Hello and welcome. This video is meant to be my November TBR, or just the books that I have on my shelf to read this month. In October, I read 7 books, so I chose 7 books for this month as well, especially because a lot of them are quite thick. So we'll see if we get through all of them. I typically don't do TBRs because I am a mood reader. I kind of go with what I'm feeling at the time, and a lot of times if I'm reading a lot of mysteries, I'll switch to a romance or maybe a literary fiction. So it's hard for me to kind of be consistent in what I read and actually stick to a plan. But this month we're gonna try it, and I'm going to try my best to actually read these books that I talk about. So let's get started. The first one is The Firekeeper's Daughter by Angeline Boulay. This is the book that my local book club chose for the month of November. It is by an Indigenous author from Michigan or living in Michigan, so that's kind of exciting since we're based in Michigan. And even though I've seen this everywhere, I think Book of the Month had it as one of its books, I have no idea what it's about. So let's see. It says, a rare, mesmerizing work that blends the power of a vibrant tradition with the aches and energy of today's America. 18-year-old Donis Fortain has never quite fit in, both in her hometown and on the nearby Ojibwe reservation. She dreams of a fresh start at college, but when family tragedy strikes, Donis puts her future on hold to look after her fragile mother. The only bright spot is meeting Jamie, the charming new recruit on her brother Levi's hockey team. Yet even as Donis falls for Jamie, she senses the dashing hockey star is hiding something. Everything comes to light when Donis witnesses a shocking murder, thrusting her into an FBI investigation of a lethal new drug. What? That is not what I was expecting this book to be. So it seems to be kind of mystery, thriller, romance, YA coming of age. I don't know, I'm really excited about this. I will let you know what I think. This will probably be one of the first books I read because it is quite thick and I want to make sure I get it read before we meet at the end of the month. So the first one. When choosing that book, I realized that I had not read a lot of books by Indigenous authors, which is completely my fault and something that I want to correct this month. And so from the list that everybody put out, I ended up choosing another book for me just to read, and that is There by Tommy Orange. I know this is a super acclaimed book and a lot of people have read it, but I haven't yet, so I'm really excited. It says Tommy Orange's wonderful and shattering novel follows 12 characters from Native communities, all traveling to the big Oakland powwow, all connected to one another in ways they might not yet realize. Together, this chorus of voices, oh, you like this book, huh? Okay. Sherlock approves of There. If you've read it before, let me know and give me some of your thoughts. I kind of browsed through it at the library and the chapters seem super short, so I don't think this is going to take me any time at all, but those are kind of the 2 Indigenous author books I'm reading this month. If you have any more recommendations, please give them to me. I really want to make that an effort going forward. I am reading one nonfiction book this month, but it's not nonfiction I think anyone would ever pick up, and that is My Family and Other Animals by Gerald Durrell. So fun fact, during the pandemic, 2 of my friends had recommended me watching The Girls in Corfu. It is a PBS masterpiece series. It has, oh, what is her name? She's on The Bodyguard. Oh, I'll think of it in a second. But it is on Amazon Prime, I believe, and I started it and was obsessed. It's about this family who, a single mom who has these, well, in the show, 4 kids, 3 boys, 1 daughter. And when she realizes that they're all struggling in their own different ways, they needed a change, she packs them up and moves to Corfu, where they embark in so many different adventures. You have the oldest, Lawrence Durrell, who actually is a writer and author. he almost won the Pulitzer Prize, I think, for one of his series. And then you have the youngest, Gerald, who really cared about conservation and zoos and kind of viewed them as a way to study and also rehabilitate animals. And the series was based off of the book, or the kind of autobiography that Gerald wrote about his family during those years. And so it's considered a bewitching, beloved account of a rare and magical childhood, and now the inspiration for the PBS masterpiece series, The Girls in Corfu. I just absolutely adored the TV series. I really recommend it if you just need something heartwarming, but still deep and still moving to watch. And when I saw this at the library, I thought, oh, if it's anything like the series, I have to read it. And usually I am one of those people who likes to read the book before reading or watching a series of something, but I just didn't know it was based off of a book, and now I do. So I'm really excited to read it. I mean, one of the last lines says, brimming with warmth and humor, Gerald Durrell's classic tale of his childhood island home lovingly describes a world filled with delightful characters, human and animal alike. I'm just so excited to read this. I think it's going to make me warm and bubbly, and that's kind of what I'm wanting right now, because the weather is dreary, work is dreary, I'm feeling a bit stressed. Something that's just light and happy sounds wonderful. The next book is Clara and the Sun by Kazoo Ishiguro. I hate pronouncing names, can you tell? Every semester I have to go through like the class list and pronounce people's names for the first time, and to say it's my worst nightmare might even be an understatement. I absolutely loathe that experience, so I don't know why I'm doing this, because it's just my embarrassment consistently. So I've also seen this book everywhere in like Barnes & Noble. I guess it was a Good Morning America book club pick. I've heard it has to do with artificial intelligence, but I don't know. So let's read. From her place in the store, Clara, an artificial friend with outstanding observational qualities, so it is about AI, watches carefully the behavior of those who come in to browse and of those who pass in the street outside. She remains hopeful a customer will soon choose her, but when the possibility emerges that her circumstances may change forever, Clara is warned not to invest too much in the promises of humans. In Clara and the Sun, Kazoo Ishiguro looks at our rapidly changing modern world through the eyes of an unforgettable narrator to explore a fundamental question: what does it mean to love? Wow, I was expecting this to be more literary and serious, and it sounds like it's going to be really heartwarming. Or maybe not. Maybe that just totally set me up to think it is, and it's gonna crush me as I read it. We're gonna give it a try, and I hope maybe these two are gonna be my happy books this month. We'll see. Okay, the next one is Nobody, Somebody, Anybody. This is a newer book that I just saw at the library and thought, hey, this could be interesting. I really, really liked the book Everyone in This Room Will Someday Be Dead by Emily Austen. It completely took me off guard, and I fell in love with the quirkiness of the narrator and kind of just how she approached the world and the humor that was infused within the book. And when I was reading about that, this seemed to mimic or be very similar to Everyone in This Room Will Someday Be Dead, which is why I ended up picking this up. It says, Amy Hanley has a job as a chambermaid for the summer, but on August 25th, she will take the exam to become an EMT, third time's the charm, and finally move on with her life. In the meantime, she doesn't mind scrubbing toilets immaculately clean or tucking the sheets corners just so. In fact, she tells herself that her work is a noble act of service to the rich guests at the yacht club. Amy's profound isolation covers everything: her job, her aspirations, even her interactions with the woman at the deli counter. And as the date for the EMT exam draws closer, Amy's anxiety ratchets up in a way that is both familiar and troubling. In desperation, she concocts a placebo program, a self-prescribed regimen for her confidence, devises to trick herself into succeeding. Tender and laugh out loud funny, Nobody, Somebody, Anybody explores the shadowy corners of a young woman's inner world of grief, delusion, and self-loathing, revealing the creeping loneliness of modern life and our endless search for connection. Yeah, this seems very similar to Everyone in This Room Will Someday Be Dead, but to be quite frank, I am on the job market this year, which if you're not in academia, essentially just means I'm finishing my dissertation. I'm hoping to get hired by a university somewhere in the world, but it's a really long process of waiting. You submit your application and some schools will go back to immediately saying, hey, we want to interview, and some will take weeks or months, and many won't just tell you, and so you're thinking, oh, I didn't get this interview, and then you did maybe in a month or two, and it's just an awful period. It just makes me feel, it makes me have a lot of self-doubt if I'm going to get a job. It makes me uncertain about where we're gonna up in the future, which then causes uncertainty with me and my significant other. So in general, this time period is not great for certainty or stability. So I think maybe that's why I was drawn to a book that also talks about loneliness and uncertainty. I'm hoping this will help bring humor to the situation. We'll see. Okay, how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, the 6th book. Once again, you've seen this probably everywhere, but I just haven't read it yet. So this month is kind of the books I've seen around, I've had on my shelves. I just need to actually sit down and read them. And that is The Invisible Life of Addie, Laurie by V.E. Schwab. I have never read a V.E. Schwab book. To be completely honest, when I saw this book getting so much hype and praise, I thought it was their debut book just because I'd never heard of V.E. Schwab, and I'm ashamed of myself. But it's been recommended by some really big authors. Once again, Neil Gaiman. Apparently I got a lot of books by Neil that Neil Gaiman recommends, or Neil Gaiman just recommends every book. We don't know. Naomi Novik, who did A Deadly Education, which I did enjoy. Alexei Harlow, which I also talked about in my last... Sherlock is not happy, my arms are going everywhere. And my last book haul. But yeah, let's see. Once again, see them everywhere, don't actually know what they're about. Never pray to the gods that answer after dark. France 1714. In a moment of desperation, a young woman named Adeline meets a dangerous stranger and makes a terrible mistake. As she realizes the limitations of her Faustian bargain, don't come for me if I said that wrong, being able to live forever without being able to be remembered by anyone she sees, Addie chooses to flee her small village as everything she once held dear is torn away. Oh, that's incredibly sad. But there are still dreams to be had and a life to live, and she is determined to find excitement and satisfaction in the wide, beckoning world, even if she will be doomed to be alone forever. We're not quite alone, as every year on her birthday, the alluring Luke comes to visit, checking to see if she is ready to give up her soul. Their darkly thrilling game stretches through the ages, seeing Addie witness history and fight to regain herself as she crosses oceans and tries on various lives. It will be 300 years before she stumbles into a hidden bookstore and discovers someone who can remember her name, and suddenly everything changes. Wow, that sounds really good. I can see why people were so hyped about that. You know what this reminds me of? It's kind of like The Age of Adeline. Maybe just because it's also about someone named Adeline who doesn't die. So that's why it reminds me of that. But I loved that movie because Blake Lively is gorgeous, and every outfit she wears I wish I could pull off. So if it's anything like that, I'm down for it. Seems more like a romance than I thought it was going to be. For some reason I thought it was purely fantasy. But romance might be nice. Yes. Okay. The very last book that I'm planning on reading this month is a arc that I was just approved for. It is a romance, but it says it's a sexy, suspenseful novel, so there might be a little bit of spice. In 2013, 23-year-old Molly Diamond is a barista dreaming of becoming a writer. One night at a concert in Brooklyn, she locks eyes with the lead singer Jake Danner and can't look away. The title. I love when they incorporate the title. Molly and Jake fall quickly and deeply in love, especially after he writes a hit song about her that puts his band on the map. Nearly a decade later, Molly has given up writing and is living in Flint Cove, Connecticut with her young daughter and her husband. Oh! Hunter, who is decidedly not Jake Danner. Yeah, we figured that out. Their life looks picture perfect, but Molly is lonely. She feels out of place with blah, blah, blah. She's lonely. She wants more from life. She meets this friend, Sabrina, but Sabrina might have her own reasons for moving there and befriending Molly. As Sabrina's secrets are slowly unspooled, her connections to Molly becomes clear, as do secrets of Molly's own, which she worked hard to keep buried. So maybe this isn't a romance? I don't know. This seems more like a mystery thriller. What did I request to read? I don't know, but we're gonna know this month. It actually doesn't come out for quite a while. It gets published June 14th, 2022, so I technically have a year to read it. But all of the books that I got this month are quite, like, thick and heavy. That one's not thick. Let's properly do this. Ooh. There we go. Some of them are quite thick and quite heavy, so I put that one on my list just because it might be a nice reprieve from some of the serious, their nose better, from some of the serious books that I'm reading. But yeah, those are the books I'm hoping to get through in November. What are you reading this month? Is there anything I've mentioned that you think I should take off my list or really encourage me to read first? Let me know in the comments. But I hope you all have a wonderful November and that it is filled with sweaters and hot cocoa. And I will see you next time.